I'd like to remind you that when the press conference are in progress here, the locker rooms are open at the same time. I'd also like to remind you there's no flash photography and no videotaping here. If you have a question, please raise your hand, wait for the microphone to get to you, and then you can go ahead and ask your question. Coach, if we could start the press conference with an opening statement, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of our effort, especially on the defensive end. They have a lot of kids that, you know, shoot the three extremely well and can get to the rim. And so, you know, to hold them to single digits the first three quarters was a great accomplishment. You know, on the other hand, like to see us play a little better offensively, and hopefully we'll, you know, get that going. But, again, obviously I have a great love for Chattanooga and UTC. It was, you know, not I was afraid the NCAA committee was going to do this, but again, proud of them too. They've had an awesome year, and you know, it's a great place. So congrats to them on their season, and again, I'm proud of these young ladies and what they were able to do.
Okay, now we're going to open the floor up for questions for the student athletes. So does anyone have a question for the student athletes? Right behind you there, Chatton.
Isaiah, you shot just one make for the three-point line from the first three quarters, but then you rocketed off for 4 in that fourth quarter. What electrified going hot in that last period?
You know, just allowing the game to come to me, not forcing up the shots because I wasn't hitting in the first half. So not letting that get to me, just keeping my head up high and just keep going. And, yeah, it did well for me in the second half.
Okay, anyone else have a question for the student athletes? Can we go over here in the front? Peter?
Ladies, first 9 shots, you guys were 1 for 9 to start early, 5 minutes. What were you guys saying to each other there? I mean, it was one of those, you had them contained too, but what were your thoughts first 5 minutes there?
River, could you answer that, please?
Yeah, I think we just had to let the game come to us. I mean, when we're not hitting early, we just stay together and let our defense lead to offense. And when we get the momentum going, we're usually good.
Other questions for the student athletes?
I'll let the assistant coaches coach that segment, so that was.
Anything for the student? Let's go up front here.
River, it seemed like there was a pretty big battle, especially early on the boards. You ended up with 11 rebounds, 6 of them on the offensive end. What was the key to kind of adjusting to these guys are really getting after us? We need and trying to winning that battle on the glass.
Yeah, just we knew we had a size advantage in sending 3 to the boards like we usually try to do. As long as we crashed, we knew we had a size advantage, so that would benefit us.
Okay, let's go back to Peter up front here.
Okay, so looking forward, what are you guys thinking about with Tennessee? Any different preparation? Isaiah, if you can answer that. What's the thoughts here from the locker room?
You know, just taking this game, watching the film, and see what we did wrong to execute it better in the next game. But, you know, just taking our time and just going to the next step.
Okay, let's go to Bob, and then we'll go in the back.
Bob Sutton from the Associated Press. What does it mean when you hold a team under 50 points for either of the players?
Isaiah, could you answer that, please?
It feels good, you know, that we did, you know, good on offense as well. We could have done better, but I feel like our defense is getting better as well. So, yeah, that's mostly where it comes from.
Right next to you, Chapman.
This is for both of the players. A junior, a senior, every year that you've played with NC State, you've made the NCAA tournament. What has changed about your game from your freshman year to now, your senior and junior year, both mentally and physically?
River, could you answer that first, please?
Yeah, I think I've grown up a lot. And I would say my 2 years at NC State, I've been in the best shape that I've been the whole time I've played basketball. So credit to our staff for putting us through the summer workouts, even though they were horrible. And just getting us ready and prepped for the season.
Isaiah, do you have anything to add?
I definitely grown a lot from my freshman year. Just soaking up all the information starting my freshman year, and for where has it got me now and stuff like that. Just being a leader on this team, so yeah, it's a major difference.
Okay, let's go over here.
Gabrielle Lewis, the next. You're going up against an SEC squad tomorrow. You're no stranger to playing SEC teams. When you think of the SEC, what comes to mind, and particularly on the defensive end?
Azai, could you go first this time?
Like us on defense? Oh, the SEC defense. Just executing whatever Coach Moore says and just making sure we are not, rushing ourselves and we're staying patient and just letting the game come to us. And, yeah.
River, do you have anything to add?
I think a big piece of playing the SEC teams is the physicality that they bring and just matching that physicality and playing our game.
Any other questions for the student athletes? All right, ladies, you're excused. Thank you very much and congratulations. And we'll now open up the floor for questions for Coach Moore. Any questions? Right in front of you, Chapman, and then we'll go over here.
Coach, could you speak on the slow start a little bit to the game?
I'm sorry, the what?
The slow start, the shooting percentage?
Well, we hadn't played in a couple of weeks, so let's blame it on that. I don't know. And again, like I said, you hadn't played in a while, and, you're excited, adrenaline, all that. We just, I thought we had some good looks. We just didn't knock shots down. And, again, fortunately, we kind of got in the flow a little bit later. But, we're going to need to try to get off to a better start. Hopefully getting this first game out of the way will help that come Monday.
Okay, let's go over here.
Could you speak to Rivers' performance tonight, and are you hoping to get her more touches out there?
Yeah, again, let's face it. Chattanooga was smart. They kind of packed it in on her and made it hard for her to get it. And if she did get it, they doubled her, which we anticipated that happening. But it's still tough when you got somebody in your face as soon as you catch it. So, I think there's no secret. We got to shoot better from the perimeter. If they're going to double, we got to be able to kick it out and keep the defense honest. So, but River thing jumps off the page here to me is 6 offensive rebounds, and nobody else on our team had more than 1. So that's why sometimes, and then she ended up with a total of 11. That's why sometimes it's hard for me to take her out, because I just think she's has such a presence on the boards on both ends.
Let's go on the aisle there.
The team held UTC to under 10 points throughout the first 3 quarters. How does that speak to the conditioning of the team and how they're able to play throughout multiple minutes and tough plays?
Yeah, of course, like I said, I spent 15 years coaching at Chattanooga. I think the tough part when you come into a game like this is the defense is now a little longer and maybe a little more athletic, and you tend to rush your shot. And I thought we did a pretty good job. There were certain things we wanted to do to, take away a right hand. They got some great shooters. I mean, the 2 freshmen they bring in off the bench in conference play are shooting 65% from 3 and 42% from 3. And so we just really stressed, you can't overhelp. You can't get tied up in a pick. You got to, get out to them. And so I thought our players did a pretty good job. Again, I thought we slipped a little bit in the late in the third and the fourth of taking away people's strengths. But for the most part, I thought we did a pretty good job of that. But that's probably the toughest part. I mean, I know when I was at Chat, we played Tennessee every year, and it's hard to shoot your normal percentages and all when the defense is a little longer and a little more athletic.
Okay, let's go over to the side.
Coach, looking ahead to Monday's matchup.
Do we have to?
Only 2 coaches have succeeded. KO's long-tenured NC State, Coach Harper, and obviously you. Speaking from a historical standpoint, what is the significance of Monday's matchup just from that sort of standpoint?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I hadn't thought too much about that aspect of it. Kelly and John, for that matter, are 2 of my dearest friends in the coaching profession. we worked together at Chattanooga for 4 years, I believe. John, I was trying to hire Kelly away from Auburn, didn't have the money to match it up. So then I said, what if I hire John as the third assistant? Okay, so that's how I pulled that off, man. And John didn't make much money, but he had 2 responsibilities: go to lunch with me every day and play golf anytime I wanted to. So it was a pretty good job. I can't believe he left me and went with Kelly, to be honest. But no, I mean, again, that's the tough part. Madison Hayes, being from Chattanooga, when the first bracket came up, she looked at me, oh, wow, Chattanooga. I said, I knew that was coming, and now get ready. Tennessee's going to be the next one. Boom. I knew the committee was going to do this. So Kelly and I, we've avoided playing each other in a regular season game. We scrimmage each other often in the fall. But we, again, close friends, and I hate it. But, same time, I get it. We've been fortunate to dodge it as long as we have. And, it's on the other part of that, it's going to be a great challenge because they're very, very talented. But, as far as, you think about Kelly, she followed Kay Yao and then not directly, but then kind of followed Pat Summitt. So she's been in some pretty good company. And two of those people, both those people had a great impact on my career. I started out coaching at Maryville College in Tennessee, or as we say, Maryville. And, Pat Summitt was really good to me during those times. So a lot of history. I've got 2 degrees from Tennessee. So, which if you saw my high school diploma, you would say, wow, that's pretty amazing. But, our high school transcript. But anyway, both of us, I was obviously an assistant with Kay Yao, and spent a couple of years here with her, and then, like I said, Kelly directly followed her. So we both have a lot of, I look at Coach Yao, what a person she was, and what she's still doing with the Kay Yao Foundation is amazing. So yeah, it is. It's not lost, though. I realize it.
Okay, on the edge there.
Hey, Coach. Speaking of Madison Hayes, she had that kind of play really early in the game when the kind of a wild pass went into the backcourt, and she won the foot race, got down the court, and got an and one. Just how big was that in terms of setting the tone and like, okay, let's get ready to play. Chattanooga's got a good pre-contingent coming down here. And
yeah. Madison, she's you gotta love her. I mean, she's gonna give you everything she's got. She's our, I consider her kind of a glue player for us. She'll defend the best perimeter player. She'll rebound. She'll nail threes. So, again, obviously I knew about Madison a long time ago from my time at Chattanooga. Knew a lot of her family and friends. She turned me down the first time, but luckily got her back on the rebound. And, she's, she's a big part of what we do. I agree. I think that was a big play. Her outrunning that and then being able to get to the rim kind of set the tone a little bit.
Okay, we're going to go on the corner, then we'll get you 2, and that'll be the last question.
Yeah.
We're having fun, man.
I've got rules.
You touched on this a little bit with Tennessee already, but do you pay any attention to non-conference opponents besides SEC schools, or have you been watching the tournament at all?
I definitely follow Tennessee, again, because of the connection and ties there. But, I'd say probably if I'm just watching, I'm probably going to be more likely to watch an ACC team or game or whatever. And, definitely, again, Power 5, we definitely follow all of them, and got great respect for Tennessee and for that league.
Okay, let's go over here.
Coach, going back to your relationship with the Harpers, as a human being, how do you put away the friendship side and just go out there and compete? And then also, have you spoke with Kelly or John since the brackets came out?
Oh, yeah. I picked up John the night they got here, and we went to Yard House and watched basketball on TV. He ate, and I cheered for the Wolfpack men, so it was a great night. Again, we go way back. Heck, I tried to recruit Kelly out of high school when I was here at NC State, and, so have that little connection, but just the years we had together at Chattanooga were some of my favorite years. And John and I still go to Vegas with a bunch of guys for a week every August. and he probably wins and loses a whole lot more than I even take out there with me. But we won't. They've got an agreement. They don't talk about his gambling unless he either wins or loses $1 million. So, so far he hadn't had to tell Kelly much. But no, they're just great people, and you know, they've done a heck of a job. I mean, y'all, there's only one Pat Summit, you know, and I know, heck, our fans have gotten a little bit spoiled now, and Tennessee fans obviously have high expectations, but it's tough out here, you know, and that's why Coach Keats and I have a special relationship on the men's side. We know how hard it is. You know, this stuff's tough. You know, there's 15 teams in the ACC. If you know you finish in the top of that, you know it's not easy. And same way SEC, you know. So again, they're great people and great coaches, and I love them.
One last question, Peter.
Wes, as the journey continues here, what's been the most gratifying thing as a coach watching this particular squad this year, you know, win like Connecticut and just, you know, making this journey with them, and you notice things. What's the most significant and gratifying so far up to date?
Yeah, that's tough because when you're in the middle of it, you don't really take the time. You know, I had somebody text me the other day, and when the game sold out like that, and somebody texted me, man, what do you think of this? You know, just think about where you came from, where y'all came from, and where you are now. But, you know, the bad part is I think about the Connecticut game and how well we played, and I'm thinking, how do we get that again, you know? Because we've, you know, had some great wins. But I'm proud of them. You know, we were picked 8th in the ACC. We were unranked. But this is not the time to reflect or any of that. You know, you're grinding, and, you know, heck, we got a quick turnaround here. And when it's all over, maybe we'll sit back and look at it a little bit. But, you know, I think here at NC State, too, we got as coaches, as players, we got high expectations. And, you know, we haven't really done, you know, anything yet that we really, but again, proud of what they've done. They've come a long way, and they've, you know, done their best to carry out what we want to do. And, you know, so it's been an enjoyable journey from that standpoint. I think we got a pretty good chemistry, and they like each other, and, you know, that's a good start.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we are now ready to start the Chattanooga portion of the press conference. Coach Poppy, if you could please start with an opening statement.
Yeah, hats off to NC State West and their group. Not only obviously playing and getting the better of us today, but really this whole last couple of days, it's been first class. We've enjoyed our time, obviously, besides the loss today, but I have a group in that locker room that I'm super, super proud of. I thought we competed. We defended. Offensively, we struggled a little bit, and that's a little bit of us and a lot of them. Their length really bothered us, but I couldn't be more proud of the group. These two, obviously, but the rest of the ones that are in that locker room, I think they've represented our program, our university, to the best of their abilities, that we should really walk out of here with our heads up high. And it's unfortunate it's come to an end. 28-5 is pretty darn good, though, and it's something that we'll remember. Not only how the success, but the relationships, the times we've had. And, again, I couldn't be more proud to be their coach, and just hard to have it end this way.
All right, thank you, Coach. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the floor for questions for the student athletes. If you have a question for a student athlete, please raise your hand. Let's go, Bob.
Bob Sutton with the Associated Press. For both players, why weren't you able to get much traction going offensively in this game today?
Seagren, could you start, please?
I think we're getting good looks at first. We just weren't making shots, and I think their length bothered us a bit. I think that was the main thing for us.
Jada, do you have anything to add?
I agree with that. Like Seagren said, we got a lot of good open looks. Usually we shoot the ball a lot better than that. I think their length did affect us a little bit, but it was just we weren't hitting shots.
Other questions for the student athletes? Let's go.
Brian Pirtle, Pat Pride. Y'all had a good contingent of Chattanooga fans come down here, but this is a tough place to play. How do you think y'all handled sort of the crowd and energy today?
Jada, could you go first?
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job. It is a lot harder. We're trying to hear Coach Poppy. He's losing his voice, so we're having to talk to each other and call the plays out. But I think we did a pretty good job of listening to him and getting in our sets.
Seagren, is there anything you can add?
Yeah, I think we did pretty good with that overall, but it was a struggle sometimes with the noise, and when they went on a run, you can hear it. But I think for most part, we did pretty good with it.
Other questions for the student athletes? Let's go up front here, and then we'll go there.
This is for either of you guys. You guys got off to a hot start, took 2 leads. What was working so well for you guys early on and staying in that first half especially?
Jada, could you answer that, please?
I would say in the first half, I feel like we were kind of just knocking down those open looks. Coach Poppy did a good job of setting us up offensively, and we were able to execute. And I think just in the second half, we just weren't able to knock the shots down.
Okay, let's go over here.
Can y'all just speak to the larger season, the success you had and what you've learned playing here?
Seagren, could you go first, please?
I think we had a great season. I think the team got together as we went on, and we got better throughout the season. And I think the staff did a great job preparing us for each game. So I think that's what made us so successful.
Jada, is there anything you could add?
Oh. Yeah, I just think that this team is special. This program is special. Coach Poppy as a head coach is special. The relationships that you form here are different. I've been at a different school, and coming here was probably the biggest blessing basketball wise. But it's just been really successful just because of the togetherness of the team and just how everybody is really for each other and so selfless and really like a family.
Let's go to Lindsay up front.
Jada, I can't keep up anymore with eligibility, but I believe you're out of eligibility, and
yes.
This was your last
yeah.
game. It's hard to, but what are the emotions you're feeling, and what's next for you?
Yeah, I don't think it's really sunk in that I won't be able to be a college athlete anymore. I won't have those workouts. I won't getting up for practices and stuff. But I don't think basketball is done for me yet. I do have dreams of playing professionally, so that's kind of the next thing I'll be looking forward to after we get back and stuff.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Up front.
Is there a specific moment that you're going to remember most about this season for both of you?
Jada, could you go first this time?
Specific moment. I would say probably like the happiest moment was us obviously winning the SoCon championship, just because that's something that we've talked about since the summer, and we've all worked so hard, the players, coaches, like all the time and effort that everybody's put into. So just that was probably like the biggest moment for that, just being able to happen after everything that we've gone through this year.
Seagren?
Yeah, I agree. When we won the championship, just seeing how happy everyone is and like seeing that we made it and what we've been talking about since summer and all that hard work got like replenished. I don't know the word. Sorry.
Translation.
Any other questions for the student athletes? All right, ladies, you're excused. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we'll go ahead and open the floor up for questions for Coach Poppy. Any questions? Let's go.
Coach, can you speak to the defensive strategy tonight, and particularly the choice to double, River and Mimi Collins a little bit as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're big, big everywhere. Not only to double, but we really stayed in our gaps much longer than we normally do. They're so athletic. And so for us was, in a sense, we talked about blocks and elbows so much and dig that thing out as much as we could, and rely on and hopefully contested jump shots for 40 minutes. And then we have to rebound. I don't think we did a great job. I thought we competed, but we didn't do a great job on the glass. But if you would have told me that we'd come in here and hold them to 33% from the floor, 27 from the three, and only 10 points, I think we had a pretty good chance to win. So I thought we executed really well. They hit some shots, but we knew they were going to. They're good, right? You have to give up something. We're not roll the ball out as talented as they are. They're here for a reason, and so we kind of picked that was what we were going to try to give up. And I thought it, for the most part, worked. We just had to be a little bit better offensively to try to get some runs ourselves going. We couldn't ever put a handful of possessions together to push ourselves forward.
Other questions for Coach?
Sean, what explanation were you given prior to the second half when there was a change in one of the officials?
That there was a change and that was it. Yeah, so they literally just, Laura Heron came and got me in the locker room and said they were making a change. I don't know what happened. I didn't see anything specific, so I don't know what that was. I think it's maybe the second time now in my career that's happened, but the other one was there was an injury, so you knew, but this one I'm not really sure.
Yeah, and it is follow up to that. I mean, there was a standby official listed, but that person wasn't used, and that's what they did.
Yeah. I wish I could talk more about it. I don't really know. I thought that's what standby was for, but I'm new to this thing too, so we're all learning. So I'm not exactly sure what happened.
Up front here, please.
Coach, you guys were held to single digits for the first 3 quarters. Jada and Seagren mentioned that they felt like you guys got good open looks. What was just not working and clicking?
Yeah, I think some of it was we didn't score a ton. We didn't shoot the ball well, but we also were trying to slow the pace down, right? So back to our defensive strategy, our offense was to try to run stuff and then try to get looks. We were going to have to space them out. Hindsight's 20/20. Maybe we should have tried to play a little bit faster. I thought we played faster in the fourth, and we scored 19. But I just wasn't sold if you were able to do that long term, you get enough stops. We got some decent looks early on. We didn't make enough of them, and I think a lot of that is their length. I think that whether they were there to affect us and or you see just the bodies of how big they are coming at you, even if it's not contested, it just feels different. And then inside, I mean, Jada, I don't know the last time she's went 5 for 15 from the floor. I think when she got in there, it was just a little different. She was sped up and rushed a little bit. Again, that's credit to NC State and their game plan and who they are. To beat somebody like this on the road, you're going to have to shoot the ball better. I mean, I think we 38% from the three on the year, and we go 3 for 15. Like, that's not going to win games, especially at this level.
Any other questions for Coach? Back up front. No.
This is a two-part question, but can you talk about Jada specifically, the impact that she's had on this season? I know Secret is still TBD if she's going to return. And then just the season in whole, what legacy you think this team will leave for the program?
Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of Jada Gwynn. She took a chance on us to leave Tennessee Tech, had other opportunities with what we sold to her in the process of helping develop her game, hopefully reaching her goals of what she mentioned up here to be a professional. I think that is going to be reached here in a few months. But I tell you what you don't know in recruiting, especially at someone out of the portal, is how special of a person they are. Coach John Goldberg had a relationship with her out of high school, so he knew a little bit about it, but I didn't realize how special she'd be. She's a 23-year-old grad student who gets along with the 18-year-old freshman just as much as she gets along with the other seniors. It took forever for me to convince her to be more aggressive and to believe in herself more than we did. But when that happened, we saw a really special run through the tournament, the Southern Conference tournament. And ultimately, all she wanted to do was win. And I'll forever be indebted to her, as we were last year with Yaz. They've met what everyone sees from the outside looking in as the stats and how special they were on the court. But they represent our university and our program in such a classy way. And I'm hopeful, and I believe if you would have asked her, she'll forever call Chattanooga home, which means a lot to me. I wish you would ask Seagrin that question, because she shared some good news with us in the locker room of coming back, but we'll let her talk about that another time.
All right, did you have a question over here?
Coach, Wes Moore was in here earlier and was saying he was afraid the selection committee was going to put you two together because of the emotional stakes of it. So when you saw the bracket, how'd you feel, and what's it mean to come here and play against a coach that meant a lot to this program?
Yeah, it was as the selection was going on, you kind of felt here it comes. They like storylines, I guess, with Chattanooga. It's 2 years in a row we've had an interesting storyline. I think the neat thing for me, to be honest with you, was to be able to we talk about our history quite a bit. If you look, we've won 20 tournament championships. You look up in the banners, and it's just numbers after numbers after numbers. And, you talk about a lot of the players, but sometimes you forget to talk about the coaches. And we were able to spend a little time this week on how special Wes was for our program, that we are able to sell a lot of what's up in the rafters when we call and recruit, and obviously you saw our fan base, right? It means something in Chattanooga for women's basketball, and he was a big part of that. Not only a really good basketball coach, but why there's so many donors and fans that, however many years removed, he still means a lot to him, because that's who he is, right? He's a good person. He's continued to be successful up here, but it was neat for me to be able to share that with them. I'm not sold there was a ton of emotion from their side, because it doesn't mean as much, but it was neat for the story, for them to hear that. And I think it was neat for a lot of our fan base, donors, alums, that are proud of what we're doing again, for us to come play their former coach, right? I got a lot of text messages and messages just in general through the week of how proud they are of where we're back to, not only winning, but how we're doing it. And hopefully it's a reflection of what he did when he was here in Chattanooga. He's obviously done it here at NC State. And you don't have 800 and something wins if you aren't pretty good. So it was fun to come back up here and have a chance to play in his place here, what they've built back here. I love my kids to death, but sometimes they can't explain themselves too much. But that place is amazing. You can't hear yourself think, right? When that place gets rocking, when they go on a run. And so I think that's a really cool experience. And I think when they have a chance to sit back and reflect on what today was and what this week was, they'll remember how loud it was in there. And it was a lot of fun.
Have time for one more question if there is one. Let's go back up front, please.
Coach, you mentioned the record. Obviously, a lot of highs this season, not too many lows. What are you going to remember most about this team?
Yeah, as a coach, 28-5 or whatever it is I guess when you take a look back, you probably should have enjoyed it more, the wins, and that's a lot. But what I'll always remember is just that group of kids we have down there. There's just so many storylines, and I can go by each one, and I'm not going to take that much time. But Addie Grace Porter, right? Like, a lot of people would count somebody like that out. 5'4", doesn't maybe look the part, but I tell you what, she hurt her ankle so darn bad in the Southern Conference tournament, and she's been battling along the way to make sure she could play today. 29 minutes, she was plus minus of 0 on the court against the 13th best team in the country, or whatever the number is. But that's who she is as a person. That's why we are who we are, her leadership. That's just an example of the type of kids we have in that locker room. And that's what I'll miss the most with this team, and what I'll remember the most is just how much they've grown up as people. And that's why I do this. That's why our staff does this. I think we do things the right way and try to build them up as people while we win games, or try to win games. But when we do things the right way and we can look in the mirror and grow, this group individually has grown more than anyone I've ever been a part of. And then when you do that and put it collectively, we've had a lot of success. I wish I could go back in time now and enjoy it a little bit more.
All right, that's all the time we have, I'm afraid. Coach, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having us.